Landscape and real estate is changing, at least that's what a lot of people are saying. So let's talk about why it's really important for both parties, both the buyer and the seller, right, to have a buyer agent on the other side of the deal.
Hi, my name is Nancy Haas, and I'm CEO of the Haas Group in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I look like a doctor, but I'm not. This is the science of real estate.
Hey, it's Michael Blaney with the Haas Group, and I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more at length about buyer agency and the importance of there being a buyer agent involved in all of these deals, right? Landscape and real estate is changing, at least that's what a lot of people are saying. So let's talk about why it's really important for both parties, both the buyer and the seller, right, to have a buyer agent on the other side of the deal, right? So let's talk about why it's important for a buyer to have an agent. Well, it's great to have somebody advocating for you. You need somebody to come in and be your advocate to make sure that your best interests are being addressed and taken care of. Fiscal responsibility, right? That's your agent's primary concern, is your fiscal health and making sure your fiduciary interests are at the top of their list. That's why you sign a buyer agency contract, to make sure that that's a legal agreement between you and your agent. Same thing for a seller, right? But that's super important to have that advocate. So let's say that you find something as a buyer that you're really interested in. First thing that an agent is going to do is they're going to say, are you financially qualified to buy that? Because let's face it, if you're looking at a $750,000 house that you and your partner fall in love with, and you get there and you talk to somebody and it turns out that you can only afford $600,000, well, that's going to be a real bummer, right? So an agent will make sure that you're financially qualified to go to that property to begin with. The second thing is, for example, how long has it been on the market? What's the history of that listing? You can look at Zillow, you can look at Redfin. It might say, oh, it's been on the market for 14 days, 16 days, or something like that. But a real estate agent has usually access to the multiple listing service. And that property could have come on and off the market multiple times. And they can see that. So while it might have only been on the market this time around, maybe 15 days or so, that could have come on and off the market 3 or 4 times. I just saw something earlier today where it was listed for 21 days, but the cumulative days on market was something like 406, because over the past year it's been on and off the market several different times. They can also see whether or not it went on the market, went into an agreement, and then came back on the market, which would indicate something went wrong, right? Maybe there was an inspection that happened. Somebody didn't like something, so that might raise some red flags that you might not be able to see, but your agent can. There's a lot of information that they can glean from all these listings. But there's a lot of paperwork that has to happen, right? The agreement of sale is 11 pages, and it's little bitty type and stuff. I think it's 11, maybe 12 pages, little bitty type with all sorts of paragraphs and everything. Do you understand it? Your agent will help you understand the terms that you're agreeing to and you're offering to this seller that are legally binding. And it's super important that you really understand it. So working with an agent, make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into. What about things like inspections? Do you have a certified inspector in your back pocket that you can call up and have come within the next 3 or 4 days? Your agent will. You have an electrical inspector in case you want to do that. Your agent will be able to get you one. All those things are super important, and keeping you on those timelines. You have to have the inspections done. You have to have the escrow payments in. You have to have the appraisals done. All that stuff is going to be something that your agent is going to help you keep track of, so you can stay within the terms of that contract and get to the closing table. What I often say to my clients is, both on the buying and selling side, is winning is getting to the closing table. It's not getting that extra $1,000 or that extra $1,000 in your pocket or off the sale price. Winning is getting to the closing table, and your agent is there to help you win. We often say that we have 3 duties as an agent to both our buyers and our sellers. We have to get you to the closing table in the quickest amount of time. with the least amount of hassle and financially in the best interest of both parties. As much money for the seller as possible and a fair price for the buyer, depending on what the market is. But let's talk about why it would be important for a seller, right, to have a buyer's agent on the other side, right? Well, think about it this way. If a buyer came to you and said, I want to buy your place, there's a specific, at least in Pennsylvania, but at least in Pennsylvania, there's a specific form that we have to use, right? And there are all sorts of things that are in there, all sorts of clauses, all sorts of conditions and everything. If they don't know what they're doing, filling that out, they may not fill it out correctly, and you might not have a valid contract that they've signed and agreed to. That deal may fall apart pretty quickly, right? A buyer's agent ensures that that's filled out correctly. But they also ensure that before they even walk through the door that they can afford to buy your place, right? Because you don't want people coming, let's say you've got a $750,000 property on the market and these people can only afford $500,000. Well, what's the point? A buyer's agent makes sure that those people are qualified to buy your place before they even walk through the door and waste anybody's time, right? Both their time and your seller's agent's time too, right? The buyer's agent will review the disclosure that you filled out with their clients and explain everything, and then contact your agent if there are any clarifications that need to be made, right? A buyer's agent, again, keeps their buyer on the timeline so that escrow payment is paid on time, the inspections are done on time, the appraisal is done on time, the mortgage commitment is done on time. All of those deadlines are met so they stay within the contract and you get to the closing table. A buyer's agent will work with your agent to make sure that that deal is done. It gets to the closing table. How? With the least amount of hassle, in the least amount of time, and in the best possible financial condition for you as a seller, as much as the market will bear to get into your pocket, and in an agreeable, fair price for the buyer. Buyer's agents are really worth everything that you pay them. I really thank you for listening to what I have to say. It's super important for you guys to understand both sides of the deal here. Thanks for listening.